President Bola Ahmed Tinubu endorses Nigeria's $1.8 million floating liquefied natural gas project. Investment in Nigeria's telecom industry hit 75.6 billion. Oil prices steady as China demand fears have set tighter supply forecast. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us. It's time to talk business as we bring you updates on happenings around the world. We'll start by telling you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has given a support to the country's first floating liquefied natural gas project, which will be developed by indigenous company UTM Offshore. On Wednesday, July 5, 2023, President Tinubu received a joint delegation of the UTM Offshore team, Technip Energies and JGC Corporation, as well as the French and Japanese ambassadors to the country. Tinubu endorsed the $1.8 million project while addressing the State House press after meeting with the President. The UTM Offshore Group Managing Director Julius Rohn said President Tinubu is in support of the project, which will produce 300,000 tons of liquefied petroleum gas annually and create 7,000 direct jobs. According to Rohn, a $5 billion loan has been signed with the African Export-Import Bank, that is the Afri-Exim Bank. The implementation of the project, which is expected to come on stream by Q1 2026. And the federal government has also revealed that it plans to recover 553 billion naira in unremitted taxes owned by international petroleum shipping companies operating in Nigeria. This was disclosed on Wednesday by the Director of International Tax, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Abdullahi Aliu, during a summit organized by the Nigeria Chamber of Shipping, teamed sensitizing the Nigerian maritime industry on the new tax policy and objectives. Aliu added that the sum was accrued from 2010 to 2019 and would be beneficial towards increasing government revenue. And now, the cash crunch witnessed in the country some time ago is now a thing of the past, but not for residents of Maiduguri, Borno State capital. Here, residents are wondering why automated teller machines, that's ATMs, all over the town have gathered dust for over 4 months, with continuous cash crunch being experienced in all aspects of business transactions. Cashless policy, though, is gaining ground, but Yaruea Umar sought to know why the problem and where it lies.
Bank customers were virtually sleeping at the ATM point to get cash, but now the ATMs are a ghost of themselves. Despite the cashless policy initiated in Nigeria's commerce and banking sector, automated teller machine ATM points remain a key component of cash transactions. However, since the cash crunch experience early this year, where people spend days on queue at ATMs, the story is different, as all points located at banks and business districts have been closed for months. The situation, which has changed since the introduction of Naira redesign and was later put on hold with both the new and old Naira notes remaining legal tender, no bank dispenses even limited cash. The business of currency dispensation has now moved to POS operators who are struggling to transact with mutilated small cash. Cross-section of the residents interviewed appealed to governments and the financial institution to load the machines with enough cash to enable them make transactions with ease.
Is to provide more cash to the banks so that ATM machines can function properly.
We are not against the e-banking, but it is also important that the citizenry should have money, at their disposal.
Even when you visit the ATM machine, you cannot find any cash there. So please, we are appealing to the government to intervene.
I can't remember when I removed money from ATM.
POS seemed to be the only source of cash for citizens, as most transactions happen within the communities. Hence, operators devise an alternative way of getting cash from traders and filling stations who no more go to banks to make deposits. Are we seeing declining relevance of banking in currency matters, as they are now mostly dealing with customer care issues? Only time will tell. In Maiduguri, Yarwaya Umar.
Now, Nigeria was outflanked by its African peers in the 2023 Global Skills Rankings owing to its poor educational system and low human capital development, according to experts in this sector. In the Global Skills Report 2023, Nigeria ranked 100 behind 15 other African countries and sits at the bottom of the ladder of the ranked countries. The report presented data on 100 countries drawn from courses registered learner base of more than 124 million learners, concentrating on 3 of the most popular job-relevant skill domains: business, technology, and data science. Botswana, in 29th position, is the best-ranked African country, followed by Rwanda in 52nd position. Zambia is ranked 58th position. Egypt 61, Ethiopia 72, Cote d'Ivoire 75, Zimbabwe 77, South Africa 86, and Tunisia 87. Others are Uganda in the 90th position, Algeria 91, Somalia 93, Sudan 96, Ghana 97, Kenya 98, and Nigeria in the 100th position. And that is the story or the focus of our discussion this morning, where we'll be looking at vocational training and skills acquisition in some schools in the country. And you agree with me undoubtedly that reduce the crunch of unemployment and joblessness, which have become an obstacle in the policy or in governance. However, white-collar jobs are a desire for most Nigerian graduates, having the labor market flooded with no jobs, and many Nigerian graduates now use their heads and hands, if I may use that expression, as against the old-time reliance on certificates and endless wait for jobs to come. The urgent need to reduce youth unemployment, social exclusion, and poverty has put many on the alert, and decision makers are now focusing, or I say refocusing their attention on the provision of skills development opportunities that respond to evolving social and economic demands. But then, the 2023 recent Global Skills Report got a lot of Nigerians worried, with Nigeria ranking 100 position behind 15 other African countries, and is sitting at the bottom of the ladder of the ranked countries, an issue that requires urgent attention, if you will agree with me. And with me in the studio to discuss this is Shamsuddin Adedapo. He is the Director of Skills Development of Joint Job Skills International. Okay, you're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you very much, the presenter. My name is Shamsuddin Adedapo, Program Coordinator for Tide Lab and Director of Skills Development, Junior Chamber International, ASU.
Okay, thank you for that introduction. Well, like you've said in the report just before I ushered you into the studio, we have countries like Botswana, Rwanda, Zambia, the top Africa in global skill ranking, and Nigeria is sitting on the 100th position. If I may ask, how did we get here? How can we get out of this position? It's not just enough for us to get here, it's bad enough, but getting out is what we should be focusing on. From your position as being a skills director, someone who is into the business of entrepreneurship, What should we do to get out of here?
Thank you very much. So before we look at what needs to be done to get out of here, we need to firstly look at why are we here in the first instance. I think the reason why we are here is basically for three reasons. One is we tend to focus on certificate-driven education rather than skills-driven education. People want to go to school to get certificates, and the practicality of every skill set or every courses is not enshrined in curriculum of institutions. And the little opportunity that was provided for people to learn skills through internship and a whole lot of things from higher institutions are being abused. Industries find it very difficult to use these IT people, and the youths themselves are not also making themselves available for these skill sets, and that is why you see us running from pillar to post after graduation. Another very important reason is, again, the government have tried a bit, at least they've moved a needle. I mean, we've moved, a needle in the zeal to acquire skills, but there is no handshake. The handshake between all stakeholders in the skill acquisition sector is not too strong enough. So all these things cumulated into the all-time rise of youth and unemployment in the country and the effect in our economy. Now, going back to how do we pull out of the system is refocusing our energy into a skill-based academics. And I'll give a very good example. At Tide Lab, where I work, we have noticed that year in, year out, when we implement the ITF NECA TSDP project, youths in their numbers apply. Like in this cohort that we are currently starting, about 7,000 plus youths applied. So it means that there is a lot of high demand of youths willing to learn. But the democratization of the skill set and also ensuring that partnership exists between the private sector and the government institutions to be able to manage the skills-based institutions to be able to deliver effectively is not, there. We have Empower, we have ITF NECA TSDP, we have a whole lot of other government, funded skill acquisition programs. But we need to be intentional about this thing. We need to ensure that those schemes are well managed, and the youths that are also in the business of acquiring skills are also held accountable. That is one. Two, we also need to ensure that we retool our academic system to a skill-based academics, and that is why TVET is one very important aspect of our educational system that we need to refocus on. What are we doing to our educational curriculum? How often are we practicalizing some of these important things that students need to learn from school? One of our past fellows at Tide Lab posited that he is studying computer science and is using paper to write code. And we are just imagining, how is this possible? So,
Mr. Adepoju, let me hold your thoughts at this point in time. There's been so much talk about the need for skill-based education, talking about our learning process, talking about our curricula, what needs to change. Yes, skill-based trainings, we have the technical education board, you have the technical schools, you have the polytechnics bringing some of these skills, but the practical aspect of it has been a bane. It's not available the much that it should. And that aside, it's been government. Where is the place of private sector partnership in this? How can we get this handshake working for us to get to see the results in our field?
Thank you very much for that beautiful question. In my opinion, government and private sector individuals needs to be intentional. I think those policies are there. Intentionality of the implementation is what we need to address as a people in Nigeria. We have a lot of innovative young people in the country willing to share their skills. Governments in recent times have done a lot in also ensuring that partnership exists between these two individuals. What is missing is intentionality. Government, establishes policies, ensure that partnership is sustained, private sector delivers, and they ensure that people that go into their system finishes and gets that job done. So what is missing is intentionality in all sectors. Government institutions, private institutions, TVET, skills training institutions, and a whole lot of other people that are in the business. So when we circle back to how do we bridge the gap between the town and the gown, these are some of the things that we can do to ensure that skills is entrenched, education back into skill-based, and ensuring that we disorientate our youth in the belief that only white-collar job can actually do the magic for them. We have non-graduates learning these skills and earning well, even working with international companies in Nigeria. So the moment we begin to relearn these things and ensure that our focus in the public-private partnership drive that we have, ensure that not only certificate is recognized, but certificate and the ability to translate those skills into job, we can, we'll begin to get there. Another thing again that I listed, when I was making my research overnight is we have, like the last administration established MSME clinics. We can also look at how do we also replicate this into skill-based clinics across 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Say, for example, in Abuja, we have a technology village, we have business and entrepreneurship village. Then hand it over to the people, the private sector that have expertise into this to run and ensure that government gets results as and when due. If this handshake and intentionality is there, we can definitely, rise to where we belong in the global skill ranking. Thank you.
Well, that's great for that submission. I like the expression over-reliance on certificate shouldn't be it, but the certificate, that is the ability to be able to do it practically, is what is key. Yeah. We've had the Ministry of Science and Technology host this annual program talking about science and exhibition, science expos, where NTA is actually a partner that we bring to bear, bring to the public some of those ingenious skills being displayed by Nigerians. We just discovered that after such displays, we need this handshake you're talking about between academics and industry. How can we get that working? After identifying some of these ingenious products or things being produced by these young Nigerians, it ends up at the shelf. There is no reproduction of this. There is no upscaling of this. Is it about finances or still talking about the partnership that is needed? Why is the private sector not very interested in this?
Thank you very much, my able presenter. I'll answer that question in twofold. Number one is on the basis of policy formulation, and the second one is refocusing our priorities as a nation. What exactly is it are we prioritizing? If the ministries, departments and agencies that are educationally inclined sees these products and begin to see that this year we want to ensure that Nigerians that are ingenious go global, policies needs to be formed around that particular system. For example, just recently, the Nigerian Data Protection Bill, was established to be able to ensure that our digital asset is secured. Fantastic principle. We also need to also see how the National Assembly can work with the executives and the private sector individuals to form that policy that once a particular thing is produced by a Nigerian and it has full proof, a particular funding, should be used. Say maybe even using it as a pilot phase to be able to see how this is mass produced and also mass consumed by the Nigerian people. And when we do that, it's not going to only increase our skill base, it is also going to increase our economic base, because of course when Nigeria uses it, money returns into the economy. By the time it gets popular, it gets exported, and before you know it, our ranking begins to increase. So number one is policy formulation is important. As we are setting our policies in some of this very critical thing that the president is currently doing, let us also see how we can ease of doing business is there. Not too young to rule bill is there.
Yes.
A bill that establishes the continual usage of ingenious products or projects that is produced by Nigeria needs to come, to the fore. And when that happens...
Thank you, Shamsuddin. Talking about good policies should be formulated, and not just the formulation of policies, but also implementation, and also looking at the local content to save a foreign exchange. Thank you so very much for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Great. Moving on, gold flat as investors await U.S. data for rate cues. Let's see how other commodities are faring around the globe.
This is the network service of the NTA. We now join our outside broadcast crew